Hey everybody, this is Matthew with Forging Your Legend, where we help people turn their toughest battles into their greatest legends. And today, I want to talk to you about saying no and how to reframe saying no if you have a hard time saying no. And here's why this is important. Beyond just the practical necessity of sometimes needing to say no, you cannot have safety in your nervous system. You cannot have regulation, and therefore you cannot get unstuck in life if you are unable to say no. It is foundational. It's square one. It's safety and nervous system regulation 101. There's no way around it, really. Now, I think one of the biggest reasons people don't want to say no is that they don't want to hurt other people's feelings. They don't want other people to feel bad because they don't have enough of a boundary within themselves to not empathically feel what that person's feeling. They take on that person's stuff. They make it their own responsibility. And that's something that we have to work on for most of us with this retraining and healing process. But here's the reframe on that. When you are honest with somebody, even when it could make them uncomfortable or angry or disappointed or sad, you are setting them free. As long as you're telling the truth, you are setting them free. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So you're giving them a gift, in other words. It really allows them the opportunity to act in their highest good. Because the true highest good, if you're getting that confused with selfish stuff, yeah, you might make a choice that's not good for other people, but when you're acting in alignment with the true highest truth, with God's plan, you will not truly harm somebody in the long term. I'll give you an example. I gave a client a few weeks ago. She had a hard time saying no. Compulsive people pleaser, like many of us have been on this journey at times. And I asked her, if you were dating somebody and he asked you to marry him, but you didn't want to marry him, would you say yes just to not hurt him and then go through with the wedding, have children with him, live out the rest of your life simply because you didn't want him to feel uncomfortable? No. Unless you're truly, truly not in a good place, you're not going to do something like that. Even if it's really hard to say no and really hard to end that relationship, you'll do it if it's really, really not the right person, because you understand the consequences of not saying no. It's not always that stark, of course, but sometimes it's the little choices where we don't say no, where we don't draw a boundary, that add up to us being stuck and miserable in our lives. So even if the smaller choices may not seem as big as marrying somebody you truly don't even want to marry just to avoid discomfort, they actually add up to something that big when you do it enough. So another thing I'll say as far as a reframe is that when you say no to somebody, you give them a permission slip to say no too. A lot of people grow up with the conditioning that you're not allowed to say no in certain circumstances. Maybe they had, codependent, people-pleasing conditioning. Maybe it wasn't safe to say no, but you give them a permission slip. You show them, hey, you're allowed to say no, because I just did it. You set them free. Again, it's a gift. One other note I want to make on this is just to say that being able to say no is a kind of alignment practice. Your yes and your no are key to your alignment, your feeling of being in harmony with yourself, with life, with God. And if you're able to say what you actually think and what you actually need when you need to do that, you're going to be much more in alignment. So you have to ask yourself, am I willing to sacrifice my alignment just to avoid conflict, to avoid discomfort? Am I willing to take all the consequences of being codependent and out of my power just to avoid hurting somebody's feelings? And hopefully the answer is no. But if you're at the point where you're not actually ready for that yet, be honest with yourself about that too. Look into why that is, because it will need to change at least gradually over time if you're ever going to want to be free in life and live your authentic life. So, with that being said, I would just say you need to be able to say no. There's really no way around it. And the more you can get used to saying no, the better your life will be. And let me tell you something personal. I still don't love saying no. Even though I can do it now, I still feel other people's disappointment and sadness. And so I don't love to say no. It doesn't necessarily become something that you love, but there are things about it to love, like honoring yourself and the fact that you know you're speaking the truth, kindly, of course, lovingly, of course. But I don't love it. Doesn't mean I can't do it, though. So if you're kind of an empath, if you're somebody who tends to feel other people's feelings, doesn't mean you have to become stone cold and not care. It just means you have to develop the skill, develop the muscle, like anything else, of saying no, because your ability to heal, your ability to live a good life depend on this. So, if you found this helpful, please share this with somebody who might benefit from watching it. Give this video a like, subscribe, follow, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to hear more about in the future. And I hope you make it a beautiful day. I believe in you. Keep going.